All right. What's going on? My individual expression of God. Let's go ahead and get this party started. Today we want to continue with part 2 of decoding God and downloading wealth. We broke down part 1 earlier today, so we want to continue with part. Yeah.
Good job.
How about that? The wife just woke up, wondering where I was at. Anywho, what's going on, Brother Mitch? Hey, I saw your video there on Facebook, Brother Mitch. I ain't mad at you, but keep them coming, my brother. Keep them coming. That's how you decode God and download wealth. As we continue, it's very important, brothers and sisters, with all of these shows, because I'm pumping them out, and some of them are being sent out so you guys can listen live, and then some of them, like the part 1 earlier today, is just recording some of it. All of these are, to get the book and the course and all that good stuff, but the free ones or the free audios is for that way, while you're waiting for your wealth to download, you still have access to some of this information that we are revealing, explaining, illuminating, simplifying, like what we're talking about today. As we talked about earlier today, brothers and sisters, man, it's so powerful because all you have to do is just record what the media did today, what Sister Shekinah does every day. When you do your Facebook Lives and stuff, hey, whatever you are doing, you just document it. The ability for you to document, just to understand that transformation is now currency. So that's why I went through my whole change, because I had to get out of information. Because before, I was getting paid just to provide information. Now I don't get paid. You won't get paid unless you can build. First of all, you can document your knowledge, and then you can offer a simple service based upon the knowledge that you've documented. That's how you build momentum. And when you build momentum, you are literally just focusing on solving pain points. We call those problems. Problems is just the distance between point A to point B. It's the obstacle. And the way that you solve those problems is through leverage. And leverage is like levels. So there's levels to the game. So you just want to operate at the highest level, or you want to operate with the highest amount of leverage. Excuse me. So when you have more leverage, it's like you can move more obstacles. And it's not rocket science, but it is from the perspective of understanding that, you got to move these obstacles. That's how we decode. And if you have more leverage, you can move more obstacles. It should be common sense, but it's not. If you have more leverage, you can move more obstacles. It doesn't really matter how big the obstacle is. You just need more leverage. And so the more leverage you have, the more obstacles you move. And so that's all we're talking about, because the frequency of your thoughts is your energetic imprint that allows these invisible levers, these invisible leverage that move visible problems or obstacles, aka outcomes. But it's based upon what we talked about earlier today, which is number 1, which is money is not made, money is materialized. It's materialized consciousness. Money is condensed consciousness. So money is condensed focus. So money is deep focus. So computers call it deep learning. Now, this is a new game. The old game was shallow learning. So you can make a lot of money, like I did over the years, through providing a lot of different information in the areas of wealth, health, wisdom, and relationships. So I created a lot of courses, wrote a lot of books, done a lot of shows on a lot of different information. That's all great, but the game has changed now. And so we have to change with the new landscape. And so the new landscape is not shallow learning anymore, even though everybody's still doing it. So you got to be ahead of the game, because otherwise you're gonna be where I was at. You're gonna be in a place where you are, you real busy, but you're not generating no profit because you're not solving nobody's pain points. People are not. You're making a promise, but you're not providing a result. Now there's a lot of core wealth laws We're just going to focus on three today: the law of compensation, law of circulation, and the law of leverage. And so that's basically how this thing that we call a blockage gets removed. So you're able to unlock by decoding. So as we talked about earlier today, the code is found in Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. And so we open and understand that that's what we got to decode. Because the source of true wealth is source. So source says that if you seek me first, okay, I provide all of this. So when we look at how energy source, God has to be sought. Seek, so the word seek, as we talked about earlier today, and you can look this up, it means zeteo. So the first thing you have to do is zeteo. Zeteo simply means that it means to inquire, it means to find, it means to seek out through mind. So it has nothing to do technically with what we call worship. You can do that, but in addition to doing that, you want to actually engage in a mental process of pursuing what you desire or what desires you. So seek is the first thing, then seek ye first. The word first is the word proton, which is very interesting. There's a Greek word spelled P-R-O-T-O-N. That means first in a series. It means first in time. It means first in place, and first in important. So nothing works unless what you are seeking is important. So a lot of people they're seeking stuff, but it's not important. They just pursuing it because it's bad. Or they said, and just even bad, bro. Seek. Excuse me, but you're supposed to seek things that are very, very important. And then the word kingdom means basileia, as we all know. The word God means theos. Basileia has dominion. So there's something that you have dominion over that's important to you. Do that. That's what it's saying. And if you do that, you activate, because that is the origin of all energy, or the origin of all wealth is energy that is organized. So when you organize your energy, when you create structured thought, that activates, number two, that activates these invisible layers. These are invisible levels. Again, this should be common sense. But as we all know that, common sense is not necessarily common. And that's why these classes are so important, because all we're doing is just going over information that, that should be what we call common sense. And a lot of us, it is, but the way that we define it is different. For example, why would you make a product, service, or information if there isn't a specific pain point? So what do you mean? That means you should ask yourself this question: what painful problem am I obsessed with solving? So let me say it again. It's extremely important. Because what we're talking about is establishing something that's going to allow you to not only be engaged in purpose, but it's going to also allow you to create a specific currency. And it's extremely important because this is the laws of compensation, the laws of circulation, and the laws of resonance. These are the three primary laws of generating and operating and creating something that you frequently see, which is what we call frequency. It's important and it's duplicated. It's repetition. That's clarity, that's leverage, and that's execution. That is what we are. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. So we're talking about creating transformation, not only for ourselves, but somebody else. So how can you create transformation? You have to be able to make a promise that's going to create a result. So the question is, what painful problem am I obsessed with solving, or what painful problem have I already solved? When you ask yourself that specific question and answer it, you've just uncovered your business. Because a lot of us have problems, but they ain't painful. It's like having a toothache. Oh, you want to solve that problem? Trust me, been there, done that. And so when you ask the question, what painful? So we're talking about pain points, because pain equals compliance. If you apply enough pain, you will experience enough gain. So you're not addressing pain points. So what painful problem am I obsessed with solving? Or what painful problem have I already solved? Because you gotta, you really want to focus on something that you solved for yourself, preferably, or that you would like to. Now the goal is to already be there, but even if you're not, all you gotta do is do what we're gonna be breaking down later on in day 4 and 5, where we talk about meditation. We're talking about, getting how to receive the downloads. First you got to decode. Then when you get into a place where you're sitting in silence, turn off all of the electronics and the TV and the noise. You can go out in nature. That's even better. Just sit and allow the brain to decompress. Or like what I do every night, when I pop up at 3 a.m. or when it's eerily quiet, TV's off, it's pitch black dark. Before I doze off to sleep, I clear my mind. And that's how I receive spiritual downloads. By simply just removing all of the distractions or limiting all of the distractions as much as possible. Excuse me. And so what that does is that, again, we're going to break this down a little bit further a little bit later, but again, it should be common sense, but it's not. So if you have more leverage, you can move more obstacles. So you want to create as much leverage as possible. And leverage is another word for levels. Levels is just another word for layers. And it's just this ability for you to understand that, okay, there's different laws in this universe. The 3 that we're focusing on is that the law of compensation is basically, compensation is your birthright. That's the law. God wishes to do exceedingly abundantly above anything that you can ask or think. It's not based upon your efforts. It's based upon your energy. That's the second law, which is the law of circulation. And the law of circulation simply means that there is 360 degrees, which is what we're talking about. It's a circle, which is why I went from MT33 to MT360. Simply means that that's a complete circle. That creates resoundingness, resonance. So it means to resound sound. I'm keep repeating the same sound over and over. So I must become obsessed with being the best in my particular kirka or circle. That is the only way to remove any money blockage in your life. Or that's the best way, we put it that way. So there is, there's a lot of ways for us to let's use the word address for different terms, money blockage. But when we look at these laws, they move obstacles. That's the whole purpose of us understanding these laws. Now, don't waste time like I did studying like the Hermetic laws and all this other stuff. Let's go back to the question. Because if you answer the question activates the law. That's how you decode God, because God God is the law. He don't create law, he is law. But all I'm simply saying is you just tuning into God. How do you tune into God? Well, there is no such thing as obstacles. So if there's an obstacle, if there's distance between where you are now and where you want to be, it's because that you are tapped into some information that's feeding the ego and is not feeding the true self. Because if you're inside of source, where are you at? You are all knowing, all power, and all present. You are already the vibrational equivalent of what we call solutions. So God is the God of solutions. Extremely important. So if there isn't a solution in your life, it's there, but there's something that is blocking you from seeing and or receiving the solution. There is no such thing as what we call lack. It's an illusion, although it's a very persistent illusion. And it's a very powerful illusion. Nevertheless, it's still an illusion. But the illusion creates confusion. So the point of the illusion is to create vibrational confusion. That's the whole point of the illusion. So we know that there is an illusion if there is confusion. And we know if there is confusion, there is an illusion that is prohibiting you from connecting to the materialized consciousness, which is the result of I'm obsessed with solving a specific painful problem. So one of the biggest, for example, for me personally, when I started, one of the most painful problems, painful may not be the correct term, but that's what we're going to roll with, was ignorance. Ignorance when it comes to the spiritual or religious connection with the God of the universe instead of the God of this world. So I knew that the information that I had was creating more pain for me because it didn't allow me to live a life of wealth, health, wisdom, and great relationships. And I knew internally that was my birthright. Nobody had to tell me I was born with an awareness. So as we talk about it, we're going to be breaking down probably later on tonight or tomorrow, we'll get into the three types of frequencies, waves, and vibrations that we call human, according to this ancient text and the Mahamata text. We're going to get into breaking down the pneumatics. So pneumatics are the highest type of hue man or hue woman. We are just individuals that we are just possessed with truth. We are truthologists. We do not like people that for something like that are just this itch. And then you have psychics. They're thinkers. And then you have materialists. So there's only three types of frequencies. We're going to break this down according to the tripet type, which is an ancient text inside of the Mahamata text, blah, blah, blah. But basically it just tells you so that way you know where you're at. And so we're all moving through these three. You start off as a materialist. And then you go to a place where you become an analyst. And then you get to the last place where you become a realist. So you're in one of those three places. But when you get to the highest level of the game, you're a realist, where you like, this is not working. And you just get to a place where you just want to operate in a peace where, hey, all your bills are paid on time. Your body functions according to its purpose. You're not buying the purple Kool-Aid. You're not walking around and the sky is falling because you're not even connected to that level of reality. It doesn't affect you. And you're not here, you want to come home to a peaceful home. You want to treat other people with respect. You live by the golden rule. Okay? If that's the case, then you're a realist from the perspective of you at the highest level of the game. You are Numa. You are the Ruach. You are the walking, talking. You are the spark of God trapped inside of dirt. And so that's all you're thinking about. So that's the most painful. That's what I had to solve. So that's what I solved for myself. Yeah, that's why I can guarantee. Now you may not like, because it goes against the current narrative. It's like the same thing if you're alcoholic and then you now are, let's say, 3 years sober, and you come up with a product that helps people get off the joy juice to cast out alcohol. Well, obviously, it's like you're a sugar addict. You kind of like alcohol. But if you got a product, service, information to help me kick alcohol out, okay, then if that's a pain point, okay, bam, you want to start there. That's your product. But what do you do today? Document. What do I mean? Okay, what do you do to keep from drinking alcohol? Maybe you exercise. Maybe you chew gum. Maybe you listen to worship music. Maybe you go out into the woods and go hiking. So what do you do? Okay, film it. Document it. Talk about it. Don't offer no product though. Just document. That's proof. Document. Every day you should be posting something on social media, because what you're doing is you're building your tribe, because that's intrinsic value. People are looking for intrinsic value. People are looking for repetition. People are looking for obsession, and people are looking for deep focus. If you do those three things, you can't be broke, bruh. Guaranteed. Can't. Now it may take a minute if you're new to this, meaning that you've never ever documented. You've been talking about, other stuff because you've been promoting fads and, Bitcoin and, whatever. Now you're showing up on social media with no shirt on, for example. And people think that you out there just, trying to show off your bar. You just thirst trapping people. The process of creating beverage. Now remember, the average has to keep it on. Now I have to keep it on too. They don't understand these laws. And so when people see me, like they see me on, like I did this morning, on the treadmill, and they have my shirt on. A lot of times I have my shirt off. They don't understand. People think, oh, look at Doc, man, he's this old nigga out here trying to thirst trap people. Now, nigga, I'm documenting. That way, I am living proof. I'm the living embodiment of the painful problem that I can solve in your life. Do that, bro. Money is deep. It's not shallow. Money is deep. Whatever you're providing, that shit must be deep. It must be intrinsic. The world is full of shot Negro. Don't let them. Focus on solving my pain point, bro. Niche down, not up. Feel my pain. Create a system built on removing my pain. One of the reasons I built the life management system and the Kingdom Midnight Training Center, Dear Canary Reports, is the pain of living in my life without purpose. Because where purpose is known, buffoonery is inevitable. No one Negroes over in the prison is full of Negroes with no fucking purpose. But I'm not going to argue with no fool about purpose. Let that mud hit that wall going 120. Let them crash and burn. Let them drive off the cliff. Just get out the way. You don't debate. You educate. You don't show up in the marketplace pleading and begging. No. That's for the mother folk. You walk into the room knowing that you're the baddest mutt in your space. People need you more than you need them. If they ain't at the level of awareness where they can figure it the bump out, that is not your problem. You know that you deliver desirable outcomes. You know that you have a high degree of the likelihood of success. You know that you have the speed. You know you have the shortest distance from point A to point B. And you know that you have ease of process. So now, man, I ain't trying to con nobody. I ain't trying to sell nobody. Nigga, you can't see my worth and value stepped up off. This is not no New Believer show. People love pain. But when they get tired of hitting that brick wall, trust and believe, bro. It takes something that goes a little longer than do others. It's okay. You just get the fuck out the way and let them hit that wall. But you should be obsessed with solving that painful problem for yourself. Bump everybody else. Once you solve that painful problem that you got, that elephant that's standing in the room that's looking at you right now, yeah, he over in the corner. Look over there. You see him? Yeah, you see that elephant right there? He been following your ass around since you was 5 years old. You might as well go ahead and, choke him out. Ain't you tired of getting spanked? I mean, not you personally, but people you know. So now, man, I ain't playing with the devil. What y'all doing? I ain't got time. I'm making him my bitch. That should be your position. But for a lot of folk, they ain't tired yet. So what you do is just find the people. Remember, go fishing in a pond that you don't have to chum the waters. Go fishing in the pond where there's hungry fish. So you must understand, brothers and sisters, the curse of knowing too much. You must understand the curse of clarity. You must understand that intelligence actually can ruin your life. You got to understand that, man. You got to understand that we live in a world that has been dumbed down so much that they honestly believe this buffoonery. We live in a world of foreign pheromones. There are foreign pharaohs that's running this world according to 2 Corinthians 4:4. Satan, that old dragon, he turned himself into an angel of light, and he's transformed his ministers, or he's transformed his demons into ministers of righteousness. So they walking around like they God. And so now you can tell because only fathers can channel aggression. You can see it in any time in the physical realm. Children that are raised in a fatherless home, especially the boys, don't know how to channel their aggression. Because there wasn't a man in the house that would punch him in the mouth for acting stupid. Don't pardon my French. I'm old school. My bad. I should have warned y'all up front. So when you understand, okay, this is the law of creation. This is the law of conscious direction. This is the law of cause and effect. This is the law of waves create particles. This is the effect of attention and intention that creates restoration. Intention and intention creates restoration. This is the way to create emotional stability. This is the only way for you to have the advancement of artistic intelligence that overrides artificial intelligence. Then you're able to operate from your power, what I call your power principle that solves all pain points. There are power principles that solve pain points. Those power principles is what allows you to remove what is called the information gap. You got a 144-word musical instrument that is you. You're made up of numbers. Those numbers create words. Those words create cymatics, prisms, or what we call color. It goes out, it reduces inflammation. It strengthens and lengthens your telomeres, and it boosts what is called your BDNF. Don't tell nobody I told you. That is your brain-derived neurotropic factors. That's what the good old boys down at Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and Brown, that's what they're trying to artificially stimulate, nigga. Well, you can do it naturally by just immersing your brain in your God-given lane. What painful problem am I obsessed with solving? Or what painful problem have I already solved? Can you answer that question for me, bro? I'm asking for a friend. Okay, no, I'm not. Can you answer that question? Because that's where the rubber meets the road. Everything starts there. You can't fight your way over a wet paper bag until you can answer that question, because you will not be able to operate or to create a system that is designed to establish a more productive way of processing or getting people from point A to point B. Like, you do not want to be the guy that invented the cheeseburger. You want to be the guy that invented putting a slice of cheese on top of the cheeseburger. You do not want to be the guy that invents the hamburger. That's a lot of work. You got a guy. Some guys come up. Okay, if you take some bread, slap some hamburger meat on there, make sure it cook real good, throw some lettuce, tomatoes, maybe a little mustard, a little mayo. Okay, you got to come up with the whole sandwich. And then some guy comes along, he sees the sandwich. You say, if I slap a slice of cheese on that sandwich, it goes from being a hamburger to a cheeseburger. This dude getting paid as if he created a hamburger, and all he did was put cheese on somebody else's creation. Just add something to make it faster, to make it easier, to make it bigger, to make it better, to make it more shinier, to make it function. Don't reinvent the wheel. Just grease that wheel down so that way it runs a little smoother, a little faster. So no, don't be the guy that went through the whole process of creating a hamburger. Just take that burger. Say, what if I put, instead of mayo and mustard, what if I put barbecue sauce on that burger? What if I add some jalapenos over there and call it a spicy burger? So all we're doing is just taking a basic hamburger and we improving it. And booyah, we get paid. I'm using the word painful, which again is maybe may not be the correct term. But again, don't get hung up. Don't miss the forest because you're staring at the trees. Just because, my brothers and sisters, the problem that you may or not see may not be as painful to you as it is someone else, because it's perceived, not real. Everybody's definition of pain is different. All you want to do is you want to make sure you want to take something that was persistent, been hanging around, and whatever you did to lessen or remove whatever's been hanging around since childhood, and you did it for yourself, and you're still doing it for yourself. Okay, bam. Document it. Don't start talking about it. Don't start selling it. Start documenting it. That is the hardest thing to do. Is so when people say, man, I don't know if that works. Okay, go check out my 3 months, 5 months, 30 years, in my case, worth of videos or audios or PDFs or however you are documenting. If you've been mowing your lawn, videotape yourself mowing your lawn. If you cut your own hair, videotape yourself cutting your hair. You shave your beard, videotape yourself shaving your beard. You walk your dog, video yourself walking your dog. if you groom your dog, whatever you do. I was talking to this one guy that's started this pooper scooper business. And others, he's walking around handing out flyers in the neighborhood. He goes around to people's backyards and pick up the poop. I know we got a dog, and like, hey, we can do it ourselves. So I was like, man, you like this legit? He's like, bruh, stop playing. He said he made $150K last year. $150K. He don't even do it no more. He got 2 or 3 houses. They got the little kid that came over here. He was waiting. I said, well, man, what did he give me his card? I called the guy that started it. And now you got these young kids going around, knocking on doors, leaving flyers, and business cards. Because everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have pets. And he said that was a problem because he had a small backyard. Had 4 dogs. And he noticed the amount of poop that was accumulating in his backyard. And so when he wanted to do a barbecue, nobody could go out in his backyard because it was a little, poop infested. So he thought, man, this is a painful problem. The smell of poop, and I'm barbecuing. Nobody wants to be sitting outside eating hot dogs and, you know what I'm saying, Brother Jibbiday? It kind of mess up your appetite, bro. You feel my pain. Do you feel my pain, bro? I don't know if you feel my pain. I can relate because I got a dog. One of the things I don't like, Brother Mitch, is going out there and I have to kind of, I like to do a lot of earthing. The wife does a lot of gardening. But we got to watch where we step, Brother Mitch, because otherwise, it might be old snap. So I was thinking about, man. So I asked the dude, for real, this is a legitimate gig? And it was like, dude, I got 2 people and myself now. Another example. Wife was on Facebook. Saw a purse. But it had these little charms on it. Kind of like people that wear the shoes, not Skechers, what do they call? Those soft shoes, whatever they call. I didn't know that they sell them at the mall. Go to the mall, there's a whole store, and a lot of women, they decorate their shoes. What are those called? I forgot. I didn't forget, but it escapes me for a sec. But you know what I'm talking about. The slides that everybody wears. And in the mall, there's people that they put, they decorate them with little, charms. Well, I saw a person, the wife is ex-military, I'm ex-military, and I've never seen a purse decorated with military paraphernalia and just looked like stickers, but they were really, really like they was embroidered on there. Some of them was shiny and blah blah blah. So come to find out, there's this lady and she does that. She just buys a regular no-name purse and then she kind of decorates it to taste. And so the wife saw one and was like, man. So she picked it up, purchased it, or I purchased it for her, and you know me, I be asking, so what? No, that's as soon as she posts them, she sells out. Now me, obviously that would not be I wouldn't associate that a quote unquote problem. But I'm saying the word painful problem, pain may not be the correct term. Because a lot of these niches, they're not necessarily that they create a pain, but it is a pain. But what is the pain? Well, instead of, I don't like, and I tell the wife this all the time, no disrespect to Michael Kors or, all of these, 3 to, man, saw one person $5,000. And the wife said, that's on the low end. I don't know why. It's like I ain't gonna write on no other dude's name on my body. If I'm gonna wear something, you guys see what I wear. I'm wearing my MT33 now MT360 hat, shirt. If I'm gonna carry a backpack, it's gonna be my own. I'm branding me. But the point is, people like now to brand and create their own identity. So you get to create. Now, again, there is a market because some people, it's not necessarily a problem, but there is a problem. Because what's the problem? They want to be unique. Or they want to be perceived, people who buy Michael Kors. Why would you buy a high-end purse? You want to be perceived, you want to think you got money. And you may book as a joke, but you walk around with a Louis Vuitton. So I guess that creates a certain amount of perceived value. So some people like that. So you tap into that. Me, as you guys know, I'm more into, real world, if it was that term. Not that that's not real world, but are you obsessed with that though? So am I obsessed with picking up poop so that everybody's backyard could be poop free? Absolutely not. So I would not engage in that, even though it's a problem. I don't wake up in the morning to go to bed, but I do wake up in the morning and I do go to bed at night thinking about, man, most our keeping arms are bamboozled by rely on systems, religion, and they're sitting on their loins waiting for Jesus to come back instead of them getting up off their aspiratus and solving their own problem themselves with the help of Jesus. I ain't saying you got to get rid of them, but I'm saying in addition, faith without works is dead. That simply means that there has to be more of a clarification, which is why I'm an etymologist. Because I saw that there's a gap between reading it and implementing it. So I created a whole business about implementation of the word. Oh, there's a lot of people who are teaching the meaning of the word, but how do I now translate that into implementation of the word? How do I implement it in order to create? So what are we interested in creating? Using the 144 attributes and characteristics. Because we're here this is day 2. We're still decoding God. So we know that the Bible says in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. So all the stuff we want to add comes after we decode God. So decoding God, as I talked about earlier today in part 1, is decoding how you have processed life experiences in your life, because those life experiences in your life is how God is proving himself to you. So when you overcome obstacles, that is what is called the law of compensation, which creates the law of circulation, which establishes what I call the law of resonance. That simply means the frequency. So you're nothing but resounding. You are resounding sound. So right now, you are the vibrational match of the law of divine compensation. Now, when you have tapped into becoming a generator, operator, and director. That's God. Seek ye first the kingdom, that is a mental disposition, of God. God is a generator, operator, and director. God is the ability to receive materialized consciousness to override negative habit patterns or obstacles. When you seek a orderly, structurally way of maintaining emotional balance in the midst of extreme adversity, you will then start to produce something called social proof. You will have something called the halo effect instead of the harm effect. You will have a feeling that you are moving because of your emotional stability that you are maintaining. You'll be able to design a way of thought that in the midst of adversity, you still maintain your divinity. And through the midst of adversity, something's going to happen that gives you biological proof of your divinity. You will have reduced inflammation. You'll have reduced anxiety. It will lengthen the telomeres, and it will boost your BDNF, or brain-derived neurotropic factors. All of this is the result of you decoding God, so that way you can download wealth. If you do not decode God, we continue with day. This whole week is all about decoding God. Excuse me. Or these first few days is about decoding God. Because when we decode God, we're simply, again, really delving into, when we're talking about the word, something as simple as, being a decoder or decoding. All you're doing is just looking at and identifying a specific pattern, a code. But a code is in the form of what we call numbers, letters, words, and colors. So we're recognizing that God has a way of operating. We call that way laws. Those laws, they're like levers. It gives you leverage. So we all have leverage. And there's different ways by which God allows me and allows you to use leverage. So this is source-based wealth consciousness that creates leverage. This leverage acts as a lever. It allows you to, let's use the word, lift or move heavy objects. Because all it is just energy that's placed in order. It's structured energy. It's structured thought. And one of the ways by which this thought is structured is through what, we call compensation. We all should be in a place where we are receiving computation through compensation. It simply means that your rewards in life are in direct proportion to your product, your service, your information, your value. Since you have unlimited value, because your value is not based upon your efforts any longer. Your value is based upon your frequency or your identity, how you self-identify. So I'm being compensated not on what I do, I'm being compensated on how much I recognize who I be. And so decoding God means that you recognize source in you. It is a universal principle that God is a reward of those diligently over and understand their identity. Your compensation, your reward is no longer based upon your effort. Remember, this is a new game now. Because now you don't get paid based upon information any longer. You get paid based upon transformation. Now you use information to bring about the transformation, but you don't get paid just for providing information. You're going to be broke, bro. Hopefully you got something more than just information. Trust me. I used to get paid for information, not no more. Now I got to make a promise, and then I have to be convincing enough, if you use that term, to be able to reduce all your anxiety and all of your concerns to the inflammation, the cortisol, the adrenaline, all the fear. But I got to show you through my documentation and my demonstration that I've already defeated that obstacle that's between you and your success. And if I'm able to use the law of compensation and the law of communication, then I can tap into the law of circulation, or creating a circle or a circle. And if I'm able to do that, then I'm able to create a specific resonance, because I'm able to remove your reservation, your nervousness, your anxiety, your fear, the thing that's keeping you on the fence. I gotta put something into circulation. I gotta give. Because the universe is based upon the law of cycles and the law of circulation. There's natural cycles to this exchange. There's an energy exchange. There's a frequency exchange. Because everything is energy at the base, so it's the circulation. I'm putting forth energy right now. Energy is just a mental disposition. It's a frequency, a wave, a verbal vibration. And I put that into circulation. I put my intent. I trouble the waters. So I'm able to create a resonance from that circulation that is from that compensation. But most people think they got to do because of what we've been taught for since birth. You don't work, you don't eat. Well, AI is doing away with work. The AI is going to be doing all of the work now. So now you got to be able to do what? You got to be able to think. You got to be able to add value. You got to be able to provide support. You got to be able to speak in a way that lets me say, hey, bro, I can help you receive or achieve a desirable outcome, number one. Number two, there is a good likelihood of success. The likelihood of you getting from point A to point B, the likelihood, very good. Number three, the speed on your return. I'm going to be able to get you there. The speed by which I can get you there faster than Jim Bob down the street. The speed of return. Number four, the ease of the process. So it has to be the desirable outcome, the likelihood of success, the speed of results, the ease of the process. And then if I'm really, really high speed, I'm going to show you how the value that I am providing through the intellectual property, because it's based upon deep learning. It's based upon my obsession, and it's based upon my reputation because of my repetition. If you build your reputation on your repetition, you have something called intrinsic value. When you build your service on the knowledge that you've documented and demonstrated. I got documentation on demonstrated. I can go back 30 years and show you my documentation, because I've been recording and doing videos. I got YouTube videos, I got books, I got knowledge and all of this stuff to document, to show the transformation. Because I know the most important thing is you got to show up in the marketplace and be 100% real. Because there's so many fake, artificial, ChatGPT, avatar generated content and messages that it lacks depth and it lacks character. Not that it doesn't work. It's just the person sharing it may not have worked it themselves. Anybody can take one of my messages and regurgitate it and say, hey, I can help you lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Anybody can take my Theosophic Nutrition and rebrand it. Anybody can take my MT33 Manifestation School and teach you how to go from zero to hero. Anybody. But have they personally done it? I know a lot of people who have gotten money, but they got their money because of like they got a insurance settlement. They won a lottery. They inherited from their rich friends. They invested in the stock market. They didn't bootstrap their way up from the ground up like I did. So if you take advice from somebody who got their winnings, then they made a couple of good investments, they didn't generate, operate, and direct that from taking a God-given destiny and finding out what is their purpose, what's their mission, what's their destination, because the power does not come from your personality. The power does not come from the goal. The power comes from the role. The power comes from your position. Donald Trump's power does not come from the fact that he's Donald Trump. Donald Trump's power comes from the fact that he's in a position of being the president of the United States of America. The moment he's out of office, is the same thing that happened to, let's go back to Billy Carter. I think his name was Billy Carter, whatever his name was. What about the Bushes? They still got power. First George W. and the second one. What about Bill Clinton? They had way more power when they was in the office of the presidency. The power is given to the person in the mother beep office. Negro, are you in office? Non-Negro, are you in office? You ain't got no power then, bro. So sorry. The universe does not respect you, bruh. So, when you are out of office, you are out of power. Damn. You know how many niggas I know that are not in office? And you run up on me, dog, and you're not in office, you don't get smoked. No disrespect. So you got to understand the game. What's the game? The game is recognition of the lane. Peter will know, Paul will know, but who are you? So Yahushua HaMashiach, he got his power from what? His position. That's what it's in. Jesus is his name. Christ is his title. Is his position. Are you in position? You have to be able to decode how to generate, how to operate, and how to direct energy. That's God. To decode God, you have to decode how to animate yourself. You got to decode how to amplify from within, because the kingdom of God is within yourself. And you got to decode how to direct the energy that you already got. Don't try to create no more energy. Bloom where you planted, homie. You have to be able to generate, operate, and direct your own cells before you can generate, operate, and direct anybody else's cells. That's a generator, operator, and director. That's a God. Decode how to generate, decode how to operate, and decode how to direct. Okay, that sounds good, my brother. How we do that? Wow, man, I'm so glad you asked. The first thing you do is hyper. We mentioned it earlier. We closed before we started. So on day 2, money is nothing but deep focus. Money is nothing but you sold out. Money is nothing but clarity. That's it. But then that clarity creates what? You go to Baskin Robbins, you are clear. I like key lime ice cream. Or I like lime sherbet. Because I actually do. I like sherbet. I like lime ice cream. They got orange sherbet, they got rain, they got different types of sherbet. I like lime. Well, here at Baskin Robbins, man, they got 31 flavors, brother Mitch. What about French vanilla? What about peppermint? All right. What about chocolate? Yeah, I like chocolate too, but man, rainbow sherbet, especially the lime. I think the rainbow, but they got just a line by itself. I'm obsessed. So out of the 31 flavors, I collapse all my attention and my focus on one mother bump flavor. Stop chasing or being affected by the shiny syndrome. I don't think it's got the shiny things syndrome. Now, because of artificial intelligence, you gotta be careful. Like last night, there's one called, these are more platforms. One called Whoop, I guess how you say it, WHOP. There's another one called School, SKOL. And there's another called Beehive, BEEHIVE. All great platforms, all great programs. Then tomorrow there's a bunch of new ones coming out. The next day and the next day. So if you're not careful, you will have shallow knowledge of a lot of AI platforms and programs. But you will not have no deep learning, which allows you to establish extreme obsession so that way you can engage in continued repetition to create intrinsic value. Watch out for the shiny thing syndrome. Watch out for it, Brother Mitch. Brother Rich, watch out for it. Brother Osama, watch out for it. Brother Ivan, Brother Jibade, Sister Cheryl, Reverend Cheryl, Sister Coleman, Dr. Martinet, watch out. Watch out for the Negroes, we like shiny things. Gotta watch out for those shiny things. Because you can't go deep. Because there's a new trinket that comes out every single day. And what happens is it's gonna dumb down your power. Because you're gonna spread yourself too thin. So brothers and sisters, it's extremely important. If you want to win, you have to go within. There are laws that control the invisible levers that gives you invisible leverage. So that way you can move visible and invisible objects. This is day 2 of our 21-day journey to get the book. And all 21 days was a regular price, $9.99. We did reduce it down to $4.99. Then we went today in honor of whatever day. Because what is the day? July the 2nd. As I said this morning, just for the day only, it's only $1.99. So $1.99 today to get our 21 days and also to get the workbook. And tomorrow it goes back to the $4.99, which is still on sale. Man, I love you. I know you can do about it. Your mama. Or bless.